What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another FPL Seal video. So today I'm going to be going through what I hope is my final draft. I've been tinkering a bunch and I expect to tinker a lot more. I have like 3 drafts that I have in mind and I will show you each and every one of them, go through the pros and cons. If you do enjoy today's video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. So here I have my nailed picks. Now I've put it in within quotations, so they're not really nailed. I don't think anyone is nailed. So like 5 minutes before I recorded this video, I was starting to think about Kepa going out for Ramsdale. But the reason I say they're nailed is because every single one of these players is in every single one of the 3 drafts that I have in mind. Now Kepa and Warden, every single one of them, they're pretty set. I mean, they are the template goalkeepers and I don't see a reason to go without them. The only way I'd go without them is maybe to go for Ramsdale. And then of course James and Trippier, they're in every single one of my drafts. So the third starting spot, I have a 3-4-3 in each of these drafts. So the third defender spot, is up for grabs, and of course the cheapies, the enablers, that's up for grabs as well. In midfield, De Bruyne, that could still be Salah. I mean, he is in every single one of these drafts, but I still keep in mind that I might want to go with Salah. So if I don't go with Darwin, I think I have to go with Salah. If I do decide to go with Darwin, I think I have more leeway to go with De Bruyne. I also have Rashford in there for Man United cover. Martinelli is in there and Andreas Pereira. So the 5th midfielder slot is up for grabs. And then of course I have Erling Haaland in every single one of my drafts. There are 2 striking spots up for grabs, and I can tell you that Darwin and Martial have kind of been in most of my drafts. Martial is actually in all 3 of the drafts that I'm going to show you, but my most recent tinkering doesn't have him since I've been swapping him out for Wilson. So my watch list is right here. These are the forwards that I have in mind. I want to fit in Darwin, Martial and Wilson. And Nketiah of course did happen to go into my thinking, but if I have Martinelli, then I don't think I need Nketiah right now, although he is a good player to keep in mind for a later date. Now Wilson has the best stats of him and Martial. Of course Darwin is way up there with Haaland in the stats department, so he's kind of in a different section. But Wilson and Martial, if we're comparing the 2 of them, I really like Wilson, and if they were the same price, I'd pick Wilson like 9 times out of 10. But Martial has the fixtures, and what's kind of pulling me towards Martial is the fact that Dean Henderson, the goalkeeper at Nottingham Forest, he won't be able to face Manchester United since he's on loan from them at Nottingham Forest. I think Hennessy is injured, who is the second keeper, and that leaves a player called Jordan Smith, who is going to be standing in goal for Nottingham Forest against Manchester United. And Nottingham Forest also concede most of the chances through the middle. That's where Martial is going to be operating, so I'm expecting a couple of goals from him. So I'm tempted to just start with Martial and possibly move him on to Wilson later on. Darwin, of course, I really want him in my team, and he will most likely be in my team, but it kind of remains to be seen what will happen there. Now in midfield, of course, I have Trossard, Mount, Foden and Kulusevski on my radar. I don't have Saka on my radar because I don't want to double up on that Arsenal attack, and I already have Martinelli because of the value. Trossard, if Brighton get that double gaming or triple gaming as has been discussed, I think Trossard is a good option to consider. Mason Mount with Chelsea's great fixtures, but he doesn't have the stats. Foden, of course, but he doesn't have the minutes, has the stats and plays for the best attack in the league. Kulusevski, he's mainly there to cover the Tottenham attack. He's a really good option that you could possibly go with, but remains to be seen. Now in defense, Cancelo and Robertson, that's kind of, I'm split between which one to go for. They are fighting it out for that 3rd defender spot. Robertson will be there if I use up my City spot in attack, and Cancelo will be there because I want my triple City if I only go for 2 attacking City options. So this is the first draft I wanted to show you guys. It's a very much template-ish and a safe kind of draft, kind of a boring draft where you have Darwin, Haaland, Martial, which I think is going to be sort of the template front 3. It's either going to be Martial or Wilson along with the other 2. Some people will have Kane, of course, but I mean that's up to you. And then in the midfield is Martinelli, Rashford, Mason Mount in this slot, and then De Bruyne. So I put Mount in there to cover the Chelsea attack. He's good for minutes, although his stats don't back him up. And then Trippier, James and Cancelo in the defense with Arrizabalaga in goal. Now on the bench you have Ben White, Andres Pereira, James, and Patterson. And then of course Danny Ward in the second goalkeeper. I'm not sure I want to go with this one. It kind of feels boring to me, but again, boring might just be the way to go with this. There's like Andy, Let's Look FPL, he was talking about how he hasn't seen a bad draft yet. There's so many good drafts and we're so spoiled for choice that you could basically go with any draft and it could be considered good. We're just all guessing at this point. Now the second draft I'm going to be showing you guys is the Threemium draft. Now in this one I've actually dropped Cancelo and I've dropped Darwin, and it has allowed me to fit in De Bruyne, Salah and Haaland in the same draft. Now it also allows me to keep James, Trippier and Arrizabalaga, it keeps Rashford and Martinelli, keeps Martial, and you add Nketiah into that draft. So Akanji and Nketiah come in. The bench is still Bueno, Estupinan, Andreas, and then of course Ward. So you still have quite a decent bench, and the depth in the squad is pretty good, even though you have your Threemium. But the thing is, what would you do with the Threemium? I mean, if you're not going to captain them, are they really going to make that much of a difference? They could, of course, but I still think I won't be going with this, even though it's a very exciting draft. Mainly because I think it takes so much out of my other picks. I think Darwin might be a great pick, Wilson might be a great pick, and I mean, the 8 million slot is a very good midfielder slot to have, and you know, Akanji's not a very attacking defender, so you're basically kind of just relying on the clean sheets for Man City, which I don't want to do. So I'm not sure about that one. So I think this is the draft I'm least likely to go with, even though it's very exciting. And then finally we have this draft right here. It's Arrizabalaga, Trippier, James, Robertson, De Bruyne, Foden, Rashford, Martinelli, Darwin, Haaland and Martial. The bench is Ward, White, Andreas and Patterson. This is the triple City attack draft. Now, we still have the double Man United attack. We still have double Liverpool. We have double Chelsea. We have double Arsenal, triple City. We have a Newcastle player in there. We do have like most of the template. But where we're differentiating ourselves is basically we're going Robertson instead of Cancelo. And I think this might be really good because Robertson is a really good fullback. He was advanced in that Liverpool City game. And I'm really tempted to just take the punt on him. And if it fails, then I can just sell Foden down and upgrade Robertson to Cancelo. And then I'm straight back into the template. But at least I went with this. And I think Foden has a good chance of starting that Leeds game. And then possibly the Everton game before he starts getting rotated a bunch. So I'm kind of hoping to just take advantage of that and jump on him. Now it's still, you know, Darwin and Robertson. I'm hoping they can counter the Salah owners and, you know, City defense. I mean, if we look at City's fixtures, they have Leeds away. Leeds are a decent attacking side. They've conceded a bunch, but they've also scored a bunch. So I'm not that keen on a clean sheet for City there. I don't think, you know, I think of course City can keep a clean sheet anywhere, but Leeds is a pretty good attacking side, so maybe it's the attack we should be going with. Okay, Everton, they have a decent chance of keeping a clean sheet. But then it's Chelsea, Man United, Spurs in the next three. And if that screams to me that their attack is going to do well, but their defense isn't going to keep a clean sheet. Of course, at Chelsea, I think they might still keep a clean sheet. But Man United and Spurs do have decent attacking numbers. I do believe that they will score against Man City, so I'm quite tempted to just go triple attack for these fixtures and then just reassess after those fixtures to see if it worked out or not. I do quite like this squad. Overall, it looks really, really good in my opinion. It's targeting the big teams, the good players in their teams, and I will show you in a bit how I could change this before the deadline. So here you can see how the team sets up in, of course, the FPL page. Now, if I remove Ben White and I remove Anthony Martial, put in Bueno and I put in Callum Wilson, this gives me 0.0 in the bank, so nothing in the bank. So I could possibly take the first two fixtures of Man United, which are of course Nottingham Forest and Wolves, and then possibly the Bournemouth fixture as well, so the first three fixture possibly, and then move White out for Bueno and Martial out for Wilson. That's something I could keep in mind. Another thing I could just do is remove Foden if he's being rotated a bunch. In that case, I'd keep Ben White. I'd remove Foden for a 7.6 million player. I mean, that could be Saha, that could be Trossard, that could be Bernardo Silva or whatever. So that would allow me to do some fun picks, you know, with Wilson. So Wilson's not far off with this draft, and that's why I like it a little bit. It leaves me a little bit flexible. It has very decent coverage on the price range, so I think it could be a really good draft. But let me know what you think of it in the comments below. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This is going to be the last video I post before Christmas and before the deadline probably. I will of course try and post my final team selection on Twitter on Boxing Day. I'm not expecting to get another video out to you guys because I'm just going to be celebrating the holidays and taking a little break. I hope you've enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter if you want to see the team selection. Leave a comment below telling me what you're thinking. How's your team looking? How do you like this team? Which draft do you think is your favorite? Which one would you go with? And all that good stuff. like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.